There's the trope that the young people are entitled. No, they're entitled to be enraged. We have embraced this rejectionist LVMH strategy where we artificially reduce housing, we artificially reduce college admissions, and young people, as a result, just don't have nearly the opportunity we did. We have lost the script. We're no longer making the types of forward-leaning investments previous generations used to make.
You and I grew up in a different America, Professor Galloway, okay? And I want to go to your TED Talk for a moment, which is titled How the U.S. is Destroying Young People's Future. I've heard you say this many times. I've watched many of your interviews. You and I have had personal conversations about this, that American males are struggling. Yep. Youth in general are struggling. Give us some of the stats that you often cite and tell us why this is happening. What is the cultural change in the United States that's contributing to this?
Well, let's go back to UCLA. When I applied, the admissions rate was 76%. Today, it's 9%. When I graduated from business school, I made $100,000 a year, and the average house in San Francisco cost $280,000. Now, the average salary is $200,000 total compensation, and the cost of a house is $2.1 million. We have purposefully decided to artificially create scarcity around housing and colleges. How many people do you hear, I would never get into the college I applied to, if I applied today? Well, that means your daughter's not getting it. A lot of these universities sit on the endowments of a small Latin American nation, yet they purposely constrain the number of freshman seats because it makes them feel important, and also the alumni like it. Because if all of a sudden I own a home, I get very concerned with traffic. And one of the great problems in America is that housing permits have put in the hands of owners versus public officials. So we've had 1.5 to 3 million fewer households built every year than we've needed. The result is that the primary lubricant for upward mobility and means of kind of forced savings and starting a family and really the march towards adulthood, buying a home, have been put out of reach. It used to be just pre-pandemic, 2/3 of people could afford a home. Now it's 1/3. Pre-pandemic, homes were $290,000. They've gone to $420,000. With the acceleration in interest rates, the average mortgage has gone from $1,100 to $2,200. Again, taking it from 2/3 of people that can afford a home to 1/3. Every economic policy, I believe, Anthony, is nothing but an elegant transfer of wealth from the young to the incumbents to the old. Two biggest tax deductions: mortgage interest rate and capital gains. Who owns homes and stocks? People our age. Who rents and makes their money from current income? Young people. So the result is the average 70-year-old is 72% wealthier than they were 40 years ago. The average person under the age of 40 is 24% less wealthy. 60% of 30 to 34-year-olds 40 years ago had at least one child. Now it's 27%. And that, in concert with social media, with the outsourcing of jobs across industries that especially give young men an on-ramp into college who aren't cut out for college, and we knew that person could take wood shop, auto shop, metal shop, get a decent job in a factory, in manufacturing. Those jobs have dried up. So we now have essentially are raising the most obese, depressed, anxious, and addicted generation in history. For the first time in our nation's history, first time, a 30-year-old man or woman isn't doing as well as his or her parents were at 30. So there's the trope that the young people are entitled. No, they're entitled to be enraged. Take COVID, and I'll wrap up here, $7 trillion stimulus plan, 85% of it wasn't needed. 85% of it wasn't spent, which meant it went into the market, which took housing prices in the stock market to record highs, which was great if you were an incumbent. But if you're an entrant, it just made everything more expensive. When you bail out the baby boomer owner of a restaurant, all you're doing is robbing opportunity from the 26-year-old recent graduate of a culinary academy. We need churn. We need disruption. The reason I'm here at the Beverly Hills Hotel and with you is because in 2008, we bailed out the banks, but we didn't bail out the economy. So as I was coming into my prime income earning years, got to buy Netflix, Amazon, and what was the third one I bought? Apple at between $8 and $12 a share, and they're up between 30 and 60-fold. Where does a young person find disruption, churn, and opportunity now? So we have embraced this rejectionist LVMH strategy where we artificially reduce housing, we artificially reduce college admissions, and young people, as a result, just don't have nearly the opportunity we did. The closest they get to prosperity is they get to throw their credit card into the club where I'm doing rails and champagne, and I run up their credit card. We have lost the script. We're no longer making the types of forward-leaning investments previous generations used to make.
So, I mean, that's the LVMH strategy that you talk about. Tell us a little bit about what you mean when you call it the LVMH strategy for higher education.
Well, LVMH could make more Dior bags. They could make more Rimowa suitcases. These aren't difficult items, or Vuitton bags. These aren't difficult items to manufacture. But the key to desire is scarcity. When we came off the savannah, there were a variety of items that were scarce. Sugary, salty, fatty food, mating opportunities, opportunities for free, safe play. So scarcity, sexiest word in the English language is no. The moment you sense there's too little of something, you become obsessed with it. So when I walk into the Panerai store in Aspen, they tell me whenever watch I look at, limited series, only 3 left, which makes me want one. And essentially, the U.S. has decided that the ultimate strategy for creating, I'll use academics. My industry, my colleagues wake up every morning and we ask ourselves one question: how do I reduce my accountability while increasing my compensation? And we've adopted this bullshit rejectionist LVMH strategy where, despite the fact that you sit on the endowment of $53 billion, Harvard, your endowment is up 40-fold in the last 30 years, but you've increased the freshman class size 4%. Because the alumni love it, because their degree goes up in value when it gets very difficult to get in. And we've embraced the same kind of strategy as a luxury brand. We've decided that housing, and we've decided that college degrees should develop a scarcity and an aspirational value. And it's allowed us, and those in the housing industry and those in the academic industry, to raise prices faster than inflation, because there's just too few of these things for no reason other than we've decided that a great strategy is to constrain supply. Harvard could have 15,000 students, not 1,500. They have the resources, and yet they decide to keep it very small and very exclusive. In my industry, we've morphed from public servants to Chanel bags because it makes us feel important.